Okay, so diving in, there are a few things I want to name at the beginning of our time together. And the first is simply to name what we all already know. There is a tremendous vital need for a rebalancing in our world, a rebalancing within ourselves, a rebalancing within the collective, a rebalancing in our approach to leadership and how we live in partnership with nature or not. This rebalancing has a tremendous amount to do with the deep feminine and divine masculine, a rebalancing of the lunar and solar, the yin and yang, the receptive and expressive aspect of human nature. We are living in a world where I know that I'm not surprising any of you by emphasizing the degree to which one half of our human nature has been left out, discounted, so that through the legacy of hierarchical perception, patriarchy, but also contributed to through a separation from the natural world, the Cartesian era, colonialism, capitalism, racism, we are experiencing a tremendous field of divisiveness between the feminine and masculine, and a tremendous imbalance where there's both externalized patriarchy and internalized patriarchy. And that's a big part of what we're going to be freeing ourselves from and exploring together in this space. When we use a phrase like the deep feminine, we're not talking about conditioned gender archetypes. We will be doing some work around identifying and releasing our ideas, the ideas we've been fed, the very limiting ideas about what the feminine is, about what feminine embodiment is. And we're also going to be, as much as possible, exploring the feminine while also being aware of a tendency to get dualistic. So I want to share that when we look to the natural world, the most clear and honest source of any spiritual teachings, we see the deep feminine represented in physical darkness itself, the darkness of the night sky, the energy of the moon, the lunar energy. We see it represented in all that is yin, resting, slow, stored. We see the deep feminine represented in the womb, where the embryo rests for 9 months in magical gestation in still darkness. We see the deep feminine in the cocoon of the caterpillar and in the dark soil where the seed begins to germinate. But let's acknowledge that feminine and masculine, yin and yang, are always operating in partnership, always operating in partnership. And we access genuine power, which we'll define a little later on, through having access to both, through being able to discern what is of service in this moment. Even as we look to nature as our guide, we can acknowledge that the embryo rests in the womb for 9 months, and then the womb turns into a powerful, powerful yang muscle to assist the child in being birthed. And the seed germinates quietly in the soil, really benefiting from darkened stillness. And then again, very powerfully sends out a shoot up, up, up towards the sunlight to begin its growth. So I also want to acknowledge that it's so easy to allow ourselves to use this kind of work to other the masculine. And I really want to emphasize that what we're looking at is the partnership, the yin and the yang, that offers a radical path to wholeness. For me personally, I see the implications and the need for this work personally, interpersonally, transpersonally, societally, socially, in the realm of sexuality, in the realm of leadership. I see a global need for this rebalancing. And I feel gratitude for the fact that there seem to be many people and voices offering themselves as beacons now for the path of the deep feminine, and grateful for all that in my practice has shown me this path. What I'm going to ask of you is that you bring as much curiosity and willingness to stay in your body, and I'll give you guidance on that, to this entire process, knowing that one of the tendencies in a world where there's such bias towards the masculine is a tendency to go up, up, and away from our bodies, and to prioritize rationalization or even cognitive understanding over other forms of knowing, deeper forms of knowing, embodiment. And so, just kind of as an example of the importance of curiosity, um, consider how often, even when you, let's say, look at a flower, your mind can come up with a fairly superficial assessment of that flower and want to put it into a box, a category, a label, maybe based on what you've already read about it, okay? And maybe based on simply the superficiality of how it appears. And that doesn't allow you to really listen for and receive and let the flower itself show its nature to you. And with the deep feminine, it's the same thing. We can have so many connotations, even with the word feminine. I'm asking you to, as much as possible, drop all of that and go through an experiential journey in your body to remember, and to remember together, and to explore the nuances of and all the different colors held in this vein called the deep feminine. You know, back on the topic of flowers, my husband is a flower essence therapist, and so I get to learn a whole lot through communing with the world of flowers. And a great example is a flower called dogbane, which, when you look at it, it can appear very, very fragile and almost cute, and you might want to label it sweet. Dogbane is a shamanic, transformative, trauma healing, transmuting flower. That's other name is actually the werewolf essence. It's that powerful. It's that intense. And we really, when we experience dogbane, we let it speak to us and show us what it is. But when we simply see it and label it with the mind, we miss a whole lot of the meaning. So I hope that and the essence, I hope that reminds you of the importance of curiosity.